Hey guys, it's the hardcore legend Mick Foley here, and I need to call a quick timeout, a brief timeout, because I wanted to tell your listeners what I have been telling Foley is Pod listeners for a while now about all the cool things happening over on adfreeshows.com.
A brand new series has arrived on Ad Free Shows. Top of the Card unpacks everything you need to know in the wrestling trading card space. And we're starting with the granddaddy of them all, the 1982 Wrestling All-Stars Series A set.
Now, this set was not exclusive to any one territory at the time, as we were still right at the tail end of the territory era of professional wrestling. So it was basically a who's who in professional wrestling, with card number 1 being Andre the Giant. Others included in the set include Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, and others.
20 years ago, Eric took on Stone Cold in the main event on Raw, but the real main event was the confrontation that happened backstage before the show.
Now, the next week, I'm sitting in this chair, and that same guy, I don't think I had said a word to him that day. I don't think I had seen Rick up until the point he came through that door. And he's, getting me, just telling me to get up, get out of the chair. And he's so pissed off, he's bleeding. I'm on the phone, and he's got blood running down his chin because he bit his lip. He was so mad, he bit the inside of his mouth.
He's got blood on a backstage confrontation.
I hadn't even gotten out of the chair yet.
Ad Free Shows members got to sit shotgun alongside Kevin Nash and Click This co-host Sean Oliver as they watch back some of the worst matches in history. None more so than the Yeti.
Randy, now the mummy is not Frankenstein. You don't walk with your arms straight out
with the arms out, right? And a Yeti is also not a mummy, but I don't know. Was it Jim Hurd who was here? Well, whose brainchild was this?
Who gives a fuck?
That's just a small taste, a sampling, if you will, of what we have waiting for you, with 4 levels to choose from. 4. See for yourself why Ad Free Shows is the best value in wrestling today. Sign up now, right now, at adfreeshows.com. Yeah.
As cold as a razor blade, as tight as a tourniquet, like the skin on a dying man.
I don't want a piece of the world. I want the whole world.
I make my own rules because it's much easier that way.
Trust me.
What's up, everybody? I'm Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back in the Snake Pit for a really exciting episode. But first, I have to introduce you, of course, to our host. It's the Hall of Famer, the legend, Mr. Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great today, brother.
Good, man. I'm glad to hear it. And, man, I mentioned it. This is one of those episodes that ever since we started, fans have been asking for it, and we are finally delivering because we are fast approaching the anniversary of this event. It's Rick Martel and your rivalry with him. Initially we were going to go all the way through it and talk about WrestleMania 7, but Jake, as I was taking the notes, I realized we're gonna have to break this into 2 episodes, man. There's a lot of story here.
Okay.
So, well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get rolling on it. Yeah, I kind of realized that, you can't really tell the story of WrestleMania 7 without telling the full story because there's just so much that happened in the fall prior to it. So, let's go ahead and get moving.
All right, let's talk.
All right. So, your long-term feud with Bad News Brown comes to an end when Brown leaves the WWF following your match with him at SummerSlam. Allegedly, Vince had promised Brown that he'd make him the first African-American WWF champion, and when Vince failed to live up to that expectation, Brown abruptly quit. So we'll talk about your rivalry with Bad News Brown in long form someday, but for right now, I'd just like to hear your thoughts on working with him.
Working with him was a dream, man. He was real simple to work with. He let me guide the whole thing, and he was right there for it. But see, I've always prided myself on being the guy that made myself available to the other guy, And I was taught very early on, never expose your opponent's weakness. Well, Brown's weakness was getting up and down. He had real bad knees. So if you knock him down, he was like a bug on his back. He had a hard time getting back to his feet. So I just didn't knock him down.
So you kind of treated him, I guess, the same way that you would have treated Andre, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly. So I just kept him on his feet doing what he does, which is kick ass. But, you know, I'd heard all these horror stories about him, man, and he was absolutely fabulous with me, you know, so I don't know.
I had heard kind of the same thing, but yeah, Bret Hart dispelled a lot of that in his book as well, saying that no, like he was a great guy, easy to work with. Now I know you were working with him an awful lot at this time. Did he ever mention any of this WWF champion business or complain to you about Vince?
Yeah, he talked to me about it briefly.
Yeah. So he was told by Vince then that he'd become the champion?
Well, he was told by Vince he'd have a long run with the belt, so
Aha, okay.
here you go.
Man, it's one of those what could have been things, because yeah, I mean, he was a talented guy, great look, cool performer.
It's hard to believe Vince said something and didn't do it.
Yeah, geez, I've never heard of that happening before.
Yeah, that's a first.
Well, Jake, the rivalry with Brown is kind of incomplete, but it does lead to perhaps the most memorable rivalry in your career with Rick Martel. It kicks off on the Brother Love show, and that will be our first clip this week.
He's slamming, and I know he stinks because he's sinking through that bag right there, right there. He stinks. Martel, look what he's doing. He's spraying up stinks.
in here, my man.
He's putting
crap.
He's just making sure that the Brother Love show don't stink. Now, hey, don't you worry about the model none, because he's just out here making sure, hey, you're on my show, you do as I say.
The only thing that stinks out here is attitude, my man. And you know what kind of attitude I am. I am a man that's always been a hired gun for his own stable. I am what Cain was to Abel. So you don't play no stinking games with me.
Well, I'm not here to play any games, and I don't even think that she really knows anything about love.
I really don't care much about love, brother. I was going to do it again. So don't be pulling this.
Oh, he got it right in the eye. He got it right in the eye. Somebody get down there. Martel sprayed him right in the eyes with arrogance. He sprayed him right in the eye. I saw it. He's hurt. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but what do you mean you don't know how close it was? Boss man, who's scheduled up next coming out. Jake is riding in pain. Look at this. And he got him square in the eyes with it. Full force, right in the eyes.
Woo, man, iconic stuff, Jake. Right off the bat, I've got to ask, who came up with the idea for you to be blinded by Martel?
Vince came up with the idea to be blinded by it, but I threw an extra little pinch in there. I told him, let's make it look like an accident. That way Martel can say it's an accident, it's an accident, it's an accident, when the whole time everybody knows it was on purpose. Which makes him a better liar. Or a bigger.
Absolutely. And what was cool following this was, you know, he would give like these apologies in promos, and he'd have this smile on his face the whole time. Man, he was just so good at playing the antagonistic heel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was the whole idea. From my viewpoint, that was it. And it freaking worked, man.
It was awesome and certainly worked. And yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that all these years later, fans are still talking about it. And really, it gets pointed to a lot as like kind of one of the biggest moments or most memorable moments or times in your career. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's one of them.
Certainly you've had a lot, but yeah, this one stands out for a lot of people, and a big reason is what's to come with the whole contact lenses thing, which we're gonna get into. But before we do, I wanted to ask you, Jake, this early on, was the plan in place for a blindfold match at WrestleMania, or did that come down the road?
It came down the road as far as I know.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about Martel for a moment. By this time, he'd already had a 17-year career after having started in wrestling when he was just a teenager. He'd been AWA champion, enjoyed a lot of success with Tito Santana and Strikeforce, and now he was onto the gimmick that he'd be best known for here as the model. Had you crossed paths with Martel before the WWF?
No, I had never crossed paths, man, and I regret that because, man, he is certainly a dream to work with and a real gentleman.
Yeah, such a great performer and very, very well respected among all of his peers. And yeah, just gosh, what a worker. I did want to mention too, Jake, and not only did Bad News Brown leave it around this time, but also your old nemesis Rick Rude would depart from the company, allegedly due to what he felt was a weak SummerSlam payoff and some issues with Vince stemming back to missing a few weeks of shows with the Warrior due to an injury. Also, Akeem, the African Dream, has left the company at this time, citing road fatigue. And it's rumored that Bobby Heenan and yourself are negotiating with Jim Herd. We've actually got this from the 10/29/1990 edition of the Observer.
Yeah.
As for Roberts, his asking price said to be $500,000 per year, but you have to take that figure with this, or rather with a grain of salt, was considered by the NWA to be totally out of line. First off, let me say that's bullshit. You know, if Jim Herd if he was able to get you for $500,000 a year,
I'd still be there.
yeah, and man, what a hell of a bargain he'd be getting you at, though. You know, he was paying guys like Lex Luger 6 or 7. I believe Flair is in that range, and man, your stock was way up, so it would be a hell of a get for him in WCW at that time. But let's start here. Was there any truth to any of the negotiations?
No, none at all.
So you hadn't negotiated with Herd at all?
I never talked to Jim Herd.
Okay. Well, let me ask, you know, all these people are kind of departing and citing the road fatigue. I know that a lot of talents were saying they wanted to go to WCW just because of the simple fact that, you know, it was constant on the road with WWF, and WCW is a little bit more mild as far as the schedule is concerned. Did you ever, I mean, it's probably a silly question just because of the crazy success that you were having, but did you ever consider like, hey, maybe I can kind of check it out at least?
No, I never thought about doing that. Not at all.
Oh, okay. And like, is there any reason why that hadn't occurred to you, or you were just happy?
I guess I was just stupid.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's you know, yes, road fatigue. There's a lot to it, but man, you were enjoying insane levels of success. So it would be hard to leave that behind, especially on the biggest stage in wrestling.
Absolutely. When you're in the number one spot, number one place, man, you don't want to drop down a notch just because you're a little tired. I was a lot of tired, but I wasn't tired enough to give it up.
No, and like the potential as far as payoffs and whatnot was concerned, I mean, it trumps anything that WCW is going to do, unless that $500K a year was coming through. Holy smokes!
Yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody, let's take a quick break here so that we can give you a reminder about AG1. Man, let me tell you, if you want to make an investment in your health, there is no better solution than AG1 by Athletic Greens. I've been using it for well over 6 months now, and let me tell you, the difference that I've experienced when it comes to energy, health, and overall wellness is absolutely unbelievable. You know, Folgers used to say they were the best part of waking up, but nowadays, I don't start my day without some Athletic Greens. I'm reaching for AG1 as soon as the day begins. Those days of taking a million multivitamins and supplements every single morning to get myself where I need to be, or cleaning out my blender after I wind up, you know, putting all the fruits and veggies in there, and then you feel stuffed afterwards, it's miserable. Forget it. AG1 makes it easy because you just scoop, shake, and enjoy. With one delicious scoop of AG1, I get 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to start my day off on the right foot. These ingredients support gut health, my nervous system, my immune system, recovery focus, and most importantly for me, it was always about my energy. In just a few months, I feel like a new man, and AG1 has become part of my daily routine. It's easy, it's convenient, and most importantly, it works. They've got more than 7,000 5-star reviews, and you'll understand why whenever you give it a shot. Here's the best part. It costs less than $3 per day. I mean, I can't even drive past a Starbucks without spending that amount of money. And now you can make a true investment in your health at that price. I mean, this is a move that you guys have to make. It's a small price to pay when it comes to making a true investment in your health. It's time, guys. Reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. And let's make it easy. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Get started when you go to athleticgreens.com/snake. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/snake to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. One more time, guys. That's athleticgreens.com/snake, SNAKE, and let's make an investment in your health. Well, yourself and Heenan would stay, but a lot of talents are moving on. Was this pretty par for the course during this era? Would you say that there was a lot of frustration behind the scenes at this time?
A lot of frustration behind the scenes, man. You know, because there wasn't anybody making $500K where we were at, except for Savage and Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like pretty big money for the era. I know that even years later, guys like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash would say like, you kind of max out at about 400 grand a year. So I would imagine it would get a little bit frustrating seeing guys like Hogan and Savage kind of get these monster payoffs where you're like, hey, wait a minute, I've kind of plateaued. Right?
What about me? Yeah, I remember saying that a few times.
Well, Jake, in the weeks leading to Survivor Series, the angle sold to unbelievable perfection. We start out a week after you're sprayed in the eyes with an update at the doctor's office where it's revealed that you've been blinded. The following week's fans actually got to see your eyes and the damage that was done by the Arrogance spray. And that is going to be our second clip of the week. And man, it is a fun one.
Jake, I'm going to level with you. Do not expect too much.
This is it, isn't it, man? This is where I find out the real answer.
No matter what your vision, Jake, it should improve somewhat over time.
Don't you dare lie to me.
Okay? I'm going to remove the dressing.
Go ahead, man. I just want to see able to see. That's all I want. And you told me that I'd be able to see, didn't you?
Okay, Jake. Now.
Didn't you tell me?
You will be light sensitive, Jake. I want you.
Right.
Open your right eye for me, Jake. No matter what you see, it will improve somewhat over time, Jake. Open, that's it. That's it. I know it hurts. It's very light sensitive.
Right.
Open your eye for me, Jake. A little bit more. Now, it's the light sensitivity will cause you great pain, Jake. I'll prescribe you some dark glasses. It should help ease that pain. But you must open your eyes now, Jake. No matter what you see, it should improve.
That's what I see. Time. I can't see anything, man.
You don't know how much, Jake, but you must open your eyes to determine how much
you
can see.
I can't even see my hands in front of me. You told me I'd be able to see something.
Open your eyes, Jake.
It's real cloudy, man. It's just real. Don't mind me. Why does this have to happen to me?
Whew. So look, I was about 6 years old when that happened, but I remember it very, very distinctly because it's such a scary visual. Jake, what can you tell us about this whole thing?
Well, that was my idea.
The contact lenses.
Yeah, I went and got the contact lenses and said, let's do this. Yeah.
So let me ask, like, how was the whole process? Like, tough?
It sucked.
So why? What can you tell us about what those contacts?
It hurt taking them out, and then once you put them in, you couldn't see shit. Fuck.
So do you like have regrets that you kind of pitched this idea, or?
I beat the hell out of myself walking. I'd walk into shit. I'd get tripped. Oh yeah. But I kind of turned that around on some guys, man. I'd be around people and we'd have to, kayfabe, walk blind. And I'd walk and I'd intentionally walk over something and fall. And this, like, God damn it, man, I told you not to let me walk into things. Why are you doing this to me? What? Why?
and so, and
Stand up be an asshole. Hey, just Jake Roberts, man. He's blind. He can't see. And they would give him shit, man.
it is too funny, man. Especially the fans kind of giving like the real reactions, like, "Hey, come on, he's blind."
Oh yeah. God damn, you're an asshole. We hate you, man.
Well, Jake, I have to say too, the acting alongside that stunning visual, it was great. I mean, had you ever taken any acting classes or anything?
No, none at all, man.
What were you doing to kind of get yourself ready or in that headspace?
I played it in my mind, man, and it just seemed like in my mind that's the type of shit that would happen. So, you put it in your head what you got to do and why you're going to do it. And then you just kind of, it's like a movie you play in your mind. How are you going to play this? And I just went for it.
Well, let me tell you, it came off very, very realistic, unbelievably memorable. Yeah. All of the acting throughout this whole thing is great. We've got another clip that I'm going to be showing here shortly, and we'll see more of your great acting skills and the ability to kind of sell being blind. Now, I know that you said that the contact lenses did obscure your vision to a degree, but man, the way that you're playing blind here coming up on the clip that I've got is just absolutely incredible. Great acting. I did want to ask, was anyone giving you notes as far as how to approach all this, or is it all just improv?
It's all me, man.
So no agents were chiming in like, "Hey, Jake, what if we try this?" Or...
Fuck no. If any agent told me to do something, I would do right the opposite.
Well, yeah, so I think that brings up a pretty good point. Who were the agents at this time? Was Bruce Prichard kind of directing creative?
Fuck no.
No?
No. The agents at the time were Chief Jay Strongbow and guys like that, man. Jesus Christ. Who's going to listen to that shit? Earl Hebner, referee. See who else? Oh, Blackjack Mulligan. Oh, Blackjack Lanza. Yeah. Oh, and George Steele. Yeah.
George Steele was an agent at this time.
Yeah.
No way. So you would spend some time working with him in the ring. What was it like working with him as an agent?
He just let me do whatever I wanted to.
Probably the right move, especially given the fact that you're turning in some of these incredible performances. And speaking of incredible performances, Jake, the following week you'd be back in front of a live television audience for the return of for your return at the Brother Love show. And this is a moment that a lot of fans really love because you got a little retribution on Brother Love, and we've got the clip right now.
I tell you what, Brother Snake, I'm gonna take my glasses off. So why don't you go on ahead and take your glasses off? Let's call it even.
You know I can't take these glasses off. The lights burn my eyes, and you better knock the crap off real quick.
Oh, I see. Well, that's why Brother Model brought a gift out here for you, Brother Snake. And here, I'm going to give it to you. Put it in your hand right there, you see. It's a CNIK, brother.
Whoa! Oh, he missed him. Unfortunately.
Now you just wait just a minute. You just wait just a minute now.
You better wait. Martel, you may have taken the one thing that every man needs to see a child grow. And you may have taken the one thing that a man needs to see the beauty of life. But I promise you, if you will lead me the way, if you will show me the spot, whether it's in the back, whether it's outside, whether it's in front of these people, brother, remember this, an eye for an eye.
Jake the Snake Roberts challenging Rick. Wait a minute, Martel's coming back.
Here I am. Hey, can't you see what you look like? Jake.
Over here.
How many fingers am I holding?
Why don't you show how many fingers?
Oh, no. That's rotten. I can't believe that. Wait a minute, Jake.
Yes!
Whew, man, that crowd reaction, Jake, that was something.
Yeah, buddy. They made a little noise, didn't they?
It certainly did. And yeah, again, it's one of those things that these fans just bring up all these years later. I mean, Bruce was just a great antagonistic heel as Brother Love, and fans always wanted to see one of the guys get their hands on him, and here you are nailing him. He kind of played the perfect foil for this whole thing, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. He did a great job.
What are your overall thoughts on Bruce's? Well, how about behind the scenes versus as a performer? Where do you think his strength is?
Behind the scenes is probably his best thing, man. He's very good at doing his job, and it's a tough job. You don't make a lot of friends being that guy.
That is very, very true. I know that it can certainly be frustrating at times. And Bruce, also to that point, he started very young. You know, when he came in to the WWE, and I believe it was 87, I think he was only 26 years old. So even here, he's probably under 30 or maybe just at 30. You had first started hanging around Bruce probably in Mid-South, right?
Right. He was down in Houston.
Oh, okay. What can you tell us anything about early experiences around him?
Down in Houston, he was part of the announcement team and part of the guys that got it all going for, oh gosh, I forgot the guy's name now.
Paul Bosch?
Paul Bosch, yeah. Yeah, he was Paul Bosch's right-hand man.
Now, rumor has it that Bruce is a young man. Again, you know, when you were around him in Houston or Mid-South, he would have been, you know, early to mid-20s. Rumor has it that he was a party guy. Did you ever get to party with him?
He didn't party with me. He partied with the other guys, you know, like DiBiase or Gino Hernandez. Not me.
Oh, okay. Well, I was hoping for a Bruce party story, but maybe we'll have to ask DiBiase one of these days. I'm sure he's got some.
Yeah, he didn't party hard enough to roll with me.
Just a side note, who were your kind of running mates back in those days?
Me and Hacksaw.
I think Hacksaw could probably hang in there, right?
Yeah. He did a good job of it.
Well, you know, the nice part also here with this storyline, especially at this point, is that you're getting a little bit of retribution, which fans are dying to see, but you are not getting your hands on Martel. So I think that that's a really cool kind of calculated move. You and Rick are not getting much contact at all on TV on the way to Survivor Series, aside from some DQ wins for him where you run in and attack him despite being blind. Was this a calculated move on the part of WWE?
Yeah, they wanted to get it ready.
Well, you guys are working together on house shows, and you're cutting some of these killer promos on the way there, where you're wearing sunglasses throughout the promos until the end, where you pull them off and kind of reveal that one white eye. Just masterful, fun stuff. You're coming up with all this, I assume?
Yeah.
Brilliant. What a fun angle. I mean, prior to this in your career, can you think of an angle before or after this that you could really sink your teeth into as much as this one? I mean, what a juicy angle.
It was, well, I just kind of borrowed stuff from, you know, back in the day, Mid-South, Junkyard Dog got blinded by the Freebirds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just kind of borrowed everything they did.
I had never heard that before. So he had been blinded by the Freebirds, and you know, you and I talked about it before an episode or two ago. You getting blinded by Dark Journey. I mean, so this has been kind of a through line in your career, huh?
I've been blinded several times. It looks like.
And I can't really think of a blinding angle that's happened since then. That's certainly none that are as significant. Have you seen one? Or no, I can't think of one either.
No.
As an adult, don't we all miss spring break? Nothing like taking a week off from all your responsibilities. Well, here's the next best thing for adults, a spring break from house payments. SaveWithConrad.com can help you get rid of all your credit card debt, just like that. We're routinely helping our listeners save $5, $6, $7, even $800 a month. And you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this, but check this out, no house payments for 2 months. It's SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, Also, you're working matches against enhancement talents wearing an eye patch, and one we referenced last week happens during this time with Tom Stone, who, he's taking advantage of your blind spot and getting the better of you until he pulls off your eye patch, which enrages you, and you beat him down until the ref calls the finish. So you just beat his ass until he couldn't pull you off, and it's a DQ finish. Man, it's cool because we're simultaneously getting to see some weakness from you as far as this blindness is concerned, but then we're also getting some kind of, at the time, uncharacteristic aggression from your character. Is anybody helping you to put this creative together?
No.
Or like this is completely you?
All me, bro.
Man, incredible. I mean, when it comes to coming up with creative like this for you, is this one I always hear from the guys, like I think about it while I'm on the road. I spend so much time in the car. That's when I come up with this stuff. Is that how it happened for you?
Absolutely, man. I get alone, I get in my hand, and I just play.
Now, I know that I've heard the guys in the clique talking about how, they would kind of bounce ideas off each other on the way from town to town. Was there anybody that you would travel with who you would be bouncing ideas off of?
Just myself.
You traveled alone?
A lot of the times I did.
Man, that had to be boring as hell at times to making those hard miles.
Fun getting inside my head.
Well, Jake, I mentioned that you had been working with Martel on the house show loop during this time. So this would have been some of your first matches with Martel then?
Yep.
So what did you think about working with him? Can you give us some detail on your thoughts on him and his ring skills?
His ring skills were polished, man. He was right there for everything. He just knew how to react. He was very good with my hands off of him. That's when you learn a great worker. It's when you're not touching him, how he reacts, how he handles himself in the ring.
That's interesting because you always kind of hear about these guys that are like, you consider guys being great when it comes to like chain wrestling and very, very kind of like hands-on type approach. But you're saying that you really kind of find out about a guy when you're not putting your hands on him.
That's right. That's when you know what they got. I mean, once you grab a hold of somebody, it's kind of mustard against mustard, But if you're out there by yourself, then you've got to react and have a match by yourself. See how well that goes.
Yeah, you kind of see some of this stuff nowadays where like guys, I've seen it in Japan, they'll have like a blow up doll in the ring that they're working with. Have you seen any of that shit?
No, not yet. Hope I don't.
Yeah, it's a weird time in wrestling, isn't it?
Yeah. I've wrestled the Invisible Man before, but not in front of a crowd.
Wait a minute. Wrestled the Invisible Man?
Yeah, he beat me 2 straight. He reversed the DDT on me and gave it to me.
I've heard about people doing that stuff. So I think it was in Memphis where somebody had a match with the Invisible Man. Is that a shoot? Did you actually do a match like that?
Oh yeah, by myself. There was no people there.
Okay. So man, I would spend any amount of money to see some footage of you wrestling the Invisible Man back in the day.
I don't want to wrestle him again. He's too tough.
Nobody can go over against you, Jake. Come on.
Dude, he'll fuck you up, man.
So, well, Jake, we arrive at Survivor Series. And before we talk about your match, I have to ask, this event is pretty infamous, Survivor Series 1990, because they've been teasing this giant egg, and
it laid an egg.
Out comes the gobbledygooker. Man, what is the reaction like backstage with that shit?
Oh my God, we all just were horrified. The gobbledygooker. What a fucking turd.
Rumor has it that I think the Undertaker debuts at this event, Survivor Series 1990, and rumor has it that he was supposed to come out of the egg. But do you think that would have just irreparably fucked up his character?
It would have probably killed his character. How can you take anybody serious if they pop out of a fucking egg? Come on.
It's hard to wrap your head around. And like, look, we were suspending our disbelief in the first place when it comes to like, okay, this character is dead. He's like a zombie. It might be a bridge too far if he's coming out of a fucking egg as well.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit too much even for wrestling fans. That's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot. I did want to ask too. I said it. Undertaker's making his debut here at Survivor Series. Would this have been the first time you had been around Mark Calloway?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on the fact that okay, this guy's going to be playing a dead man?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit much, and the fact that he no-sold everything made it kind of hard to think about a match,
Yeah.
So, but time would show that it didn't matter.
Yeah, I guess everything worked out, and then a couple years later, he's kind of no showing for you. You're hitting him with a chair in the funeral parlor, and it sets up a pretty awesome match, and what would be your final match in the WWF in 1992 at WrestleMania 8, which we will talk about at some point. All right, Jake, it's Survivor Series, and it's the Visionaries, comprised of Martel, Warlord, Hercules, and Paul Roma against the Vipers, which is yourself, the Rockers, and Jimmy Snuka. We've talked about Shawn Michaels before, but what about his tag team partner? Any memories of working with Marty Jannetty?
Marty was great, man. Are you kidding me? He was awesome in the ring. He did his job and then some,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of color. The only problem with Marty was his outside the ring, He just partied too hard, man.
I was going to ask about that because kind of they had this sort of on and off again relationship. The Rockers, I mean, had this on and off again relationship with Vince and the WWF due to some of their wild partying. Did you ever party with those guys?
Nope.
You'd just been hearing stories about how wild the two of them could be.
I've been in some of the same places they have been, and I've watched them there, and I realized I didn't want to play that game.
You were talking about partying too hard in Mid-South for Bruce Prichard, so these guys must have been going really hard.
They were doing outlandish shit, man. They were trouble. I never looked for trouble. These guys did. They created it.
And they would certainly find trouble. I know that Shawn Michaels would get himself into a few pinches here and there down the road. I know he got jumped by a bunch of Marines when he was partying at one point, so... Yeah, it's you find yourself in a predicament doing that shit.
Got his ass kicked.
Yes, he did. Before we get off the Rockers, I did want to ask. So, kind of the narrative out there is that whenever there's a tag team, it always gets divided into I think this is unfair. The Shawn Michaels of the tag team and the Marty Jannetty of the tag team. Whenever they become singles wrestlers. First of all, what do you think of that narrative? As far as like one guy's going to be a star, the other guy's going to be the Marty Jannetty of the group.
Well, Marty's was all because of his partying, man. But he was always in trouble. So that's unfair. Marty could have carried the stick just as well as Shawn did. That's just where I'm at.
I have to agree. And a lot of people say that Marty in ring was actually more talented than Shawn.
I believe he was.
It's hard to deny it, especially you see some of his work back in that era. Man, the guy could go.
He did all the right things, man. He was just a handful out of the ring.
What a shame. It's another one of those what could have beens, I think, in wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Jake, the match at Survivor Series was phenomenal in my mind, largely because of the storytelling between yourself and Martel. So he continues to kind of play this game of keep away from you. And every time you would tag in, he's tagging out until finally you're the last survivor on your side. You DDT Warlord, and then when Martel tries to stop you, you chase him out of the arena with Damien and get counted out. And we've got the clip right now.
However, let's be realistic, Rod. I don't like his chances. Nah, we're talking the guy's going to have to beat 4 guys by himself with no break. Now, nobody to tag. Nobody home. Oh, big bear hug by the Warlord. All by himself, lonesome in a bear hug with a gorilla. Come on, Jay. He's not going to quit. Well, at this point, I hate this all. I hate to see the man get hurt, though. There becomes a point in which you maybe just want to see him get pinned so he don't get hurt anymore. Well, you'll have to pin him because he's not going to quit, huh? No, he's too much. Oh, look at this! DDT! Yes! He nailed the big guy! Yes! Oh, look at Martel! Did he get him? No, Jake saw it coming. He turned his head, Hot Rod. All right! But the referee didn't see any of that action. He's got a partner. Can you blame him? Not a bit. Oh! Look at Martel, scared to death. And Jake right on his tail. Hobbling, limping, but still going after him. Martel, you coward, you did the least in there. You're running. Referee's counting. Warlord, of course, the legal man in the ring, and Jake the Snake. 9. He's out. I don't think he was worried about being counted out, Hot Rod. He wanted a piece of Martel.
Jake the Snake Roberts has been counted out. Therefore, the winning survivors are the entire team of the Visionaries.
Wow, the entire team of the Visionaries have made it to the grand finale. Including the model, of course, the whole team. The first time in the history of the Survivor Series that an entire team has made it.
Man, just what a brilliant way to continue to dangle the carrot in front of the audience.
That's the whole thing. Not letting me get a hold of him.
So do you think that by Survivor Series, it was set in stone that you guys are going to be working at WrestleMania?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, it was brilliant. And just for frame of reference, this story is going to last all the way from October 1990 to late March 1991. So it's a legitimate 6-month story. And man, it's what can you tell us about kind of having patience when it comes to storytelling in professional wrestling?
Oh, it makes it so easy. Are you kidding me? I mean, the house show matches we were doing, we didn't have to hardly do anything, man. We just went out and played cat and mouse for a few minutes, and I'd finally get a hold of him, do a little something, then he'd run.
Man, it's just smart thinking and a good way to kind of prolong it, because I think that whenever you have these storylines in wrestling and it's like, okay, 1 month Jake is working with this guy, the next month he's with another guy, you just keep doing that. It's like, man, you're kind of screwing yourself as far as like having available options. There's only so many guys on the roster, and if you go month by month, you're just going to run through everybody.
Yeah, you will, man. 12 months, you've got 12 guys. There's not anybody left.
Right. You know, at least not anybody that's a viable opponent.
There's so much more to getting a hold of somebody. The anticipation of the act is the strongest part of this thing. It's sort of like, dating a girl and trying to get to home plate. If you get it the first day, you don't come back next week. You're looking for new.
That's exactly it. And that's kind of how you guys allowed this thing to play out. It's not something that we're likely to see nowadays in professional wrestling is a 6-month storyline.
Those days are gone.
What a shame. But Jake, it's as I mentioned, we've got an awful lot of story to tell here with the Rick Martel situation. As of right now, where we stand, we've made it to December of 1990, and we've still got to get all the way to WrestleMania. And you guys are just it's classic long-term storytelling, and I'm really excited to continue the story. I think what do you say that we do part 2 of Rick Martel next week here on the Snake Pit?
We can do that.
All right, man. We will make it happen. We'll continue the story next week as we look ahead to 1991 and the road to WrestleMania 7. I just wanted to mention here at the end of the episode, if you're looking to capture that pro wrestling demographic, you just can't do any better than advertising with WWE Hall of Famer and pop culture icon Jake the Snake Roberts. You see this guy right here next to me? That's fucking Jake Roberts. Don't you want to be his tag team partner? Don't you want to team up with him? He's a Hall of Famer. He's a legend, and you can partner with him when you go to advertisewithsnake.com. Again, that's advertisewithsnake.com. Get over there and team up with Jake Roberts. Also, check out jakethesnakeshop.com for rare signed collectibles that will be the centerpiece of any wrestling fan's collection. Go out of your way to check out the reviews over on Jake's Cameo page at cameo.com/Jake Snake. If you want to give somebody a unique gift, there's no better way to do it than going over to Jake's Cameo and getting a personalized message from the man himself, right, Jake?
That's right. I love breaking up with fiancés. I like to quit your job for you. Put me in there, man. I'll tell your parents they're a piece of shit. It doesn't matter.
Tag in Jake. He will get you out of those weird situations like breakups, job quitting. Hey, that stuff is uncomfortable, man. So just let Jake do it.
Let me do it for you. Let me make it easy for you.
And by the way, if you do that, please share the video because God knows that the internet needs to see it.
Oh man.
We've got awesome vintage style merch available now at boxofgimmicks.com. I've added stuff there constantly. I'm working hand in hand with our graphics guy, trying to curate and develop these vintage looking, cool, old school merch items. And I think that we've hit the nail on the head over there. If you don't believe me, just go check it out. It's boxofgimmicks.com.
Gotta check it out.
Yes, sir. Also, you've got to check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/@snakepitpod for short clips from our show, highlights, and some exclusive content. We also recently did a giveaway for subscribers there. It was an autographed Jake figure, and man, it's a badass giveaway. And all you got to do is subscribe. Just go over to youtube.com/@snakepitpod. Subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and you can be eligible to win prizes such as autographed Jake merchandise. Also wanted to mention, if you've enjoyed our podcast, please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review on all platforms because that helps us out a bunch. And just a reminder, you can get the Snake Pit and all of our other shows in our network early and ad-free at adfreeshows.com, starting at just $9 a month. Jake and I right now are getting ready to record a bonus episode for adfreeshows.com. And man, it is going to be a fun one. We're talking about WrestleMania 12 and Jake's match there. And you can only get that stuff over at adfreeshows.com. Just go over there and try it. You can get a free trial over there right now too. So just go to adfreeshows.com and check it out. Also, check out Jake on Twitter at JakeSnakeDDT, on Instagram at JakeTheSnakeDDT, and on Facebook at Real Jake the Snake. You can follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo on Twitter, and you can follow the podcast at Snake Pit Pod on all social media platforms. Jake, I loved talking about Rick Martel today. I'm excited to continue the story next week.
We'll do that. But before I go, I just want to tell those fans out there, if you're watching and you don't really dig what we're doing, or if you got something you want to say, keep your fucking mouth shut.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Jake. That's beautifully stated. And we'll catch you next time right here on The Snake Pit.